Imagine a future where entire cities float on the open ocean, free from the national borders and built to withstand climate change. Billionaires and visionaries are turning this dream into reality with ambitious floating metropolises. But as these futuristic projects take shape, they bring a host of challenges: legal, environmental, and political, that could determine whether they sink or succeed. In the not-so-distant future, the world might witness a radical shift in how we live and where we live. With rising sea levels and growing concerns about overpopulation, some of the world's wealthiest visionaries and entrepreneurs are looking to the open ocean for solutions. Floating cities, autonomous metropolises built on international waters, are no longer just a science fiction fantasy, they're becoming an increasingly viable reality. These futuristic cities aim to offer sustainable, self-sufficient living while circumventing the limitations imposed by traditional borders and land-based governance. Pioneers like Peter Thiel, through the Seasteading Institute, and architectural minds like Bjarke Ingels, with his oceanix city concept, are spearheading efforts to create these ocean-bound hubs. These cities are designed to be climate resilient, capable of thriving amid rising seas and extreme weather events. From modular, eco-friendly floating islands to luxury terra yachts, the possibilities for these new urban spaces seem endless. Yet, despite their allure, floating cities are far from simple solutions. They come with a host of challenges, including legal uncertainties, environmental impacts, and the complexities of creating entirely new forms of governance. For instance, while international waters may promise autonomy, they also lack clear regulations, creating potential conflicts over ownership, rights, and responsibilities. Moreover, building and maintaining these floating structures in the face of harsh ocean conditions presents significant engineering hurdles. As billionaires and innovators race to build the first of these floating cities, the question remains: can they truly succeed, offering a new model of living, or will these grand ambitions be left stranded in the tides of reality? The future of floating cities is a high-stakes gamble that could change the way we think about urban life. Number 1. The rise of floating cities. A new urban frontier. Floating cities are becoming one of the most discussed solutions to the growing global challenges of climate change, rising sea levels, and overpopulation. The concept of floating urban spaces designed to be sustainable, resilient, and autonomous emerged as a potential answer to the limitations of traditional land-based cities. These innovative cities are typically built in vast platforms in international waters, far from the jurisdiction of any nation. As natural disasters, particularly flooding and hurricanes, increasingly threaten coastal cities, these floating metropolises promise a way to live outside the reach of such environmental risks. They offer an opportunity to reimagine how urban living can be sustainable and free from many of the constraints of established nations, such as regulatory controls and zoning laws. The vision for floating cities combines cutting-edge technologies like renewable energy, sustainable waste management, and modular architecture to create a self-sustaining environment. Urban planners and entrepreneurs, including prominent figures such as Peter Thiel, through the Seasteading Institute, have begun actively pursuing these ideas. For instance, floating cities are being designed to withstand the impacts of climate change, including rising seas and extreme weather conditions, by employing innovative materials and designs that are resilient in the face of such challenges. These floating cities are also considered to be a fresh solution to the global housing crisis. With populations continuing to swell, particularly in coastal areas, cities are becoming increasingly overcrowded. Floating cities, being flexible and expandable, could offer an alternative to traditional housing models, allowing for efficient land use without the associated problems of urban sprawl. But the success of such cities depends on overcoming numerous challenges, including legal ambiguities surrounding governance and environmental impacts, making the rise of floating cities both a promising and complex future endeavor. Number 2. Seasteading Institute, the first push for ocean-based communities. The Seasteading Institute, founded by Peter Thiel and Patrick Friedman, has been at the forefront of promoting the idea of floating cities. Their vision was to create autonomous communities on the open ocean that could exist outside the reach of existing national governments. The Institute's ultimate goal was to develop ocean-based cities where individuals could govern themselves according to their own rules, free from the constraints and regulations that characterize modern nation-states. The Seasteading Institute first proposed a floating city in French Polynesia, collaborating with Blue Frontiers to build a modular, self-sustaining platform in the Pacific Ocean. The project promised to revolutionize governance and urban living by providing an alternative to the conventional model of land-based cities, where governments are often overburdened by bureaucracy and outdated systems. The Seasteading Initiative aimed to develop new political, economic, and social systems that would be more flexible, innovative, and responsive to the needs of their inhabitants. However, this ambitious plan met with political resistance. The government of French Polynesia initially welcomed the idea, but later withdrew its support due to concerns about sovereignty, environmental impacts, and potential regulatory challenges. This led to the eventual abandonment of the project. Despite these setbacks, the Seasteading Institute has remained a significant influence in the floating city movement. They continue to advocate for ocean-based communities, emphasizing the potential for experimentation with new forms of governance, and have played a major role in shifting the conversation about how we might live on the ocean. The Seasteading Institute's push for floating cities has inspired numerous other projects and think tanks, expanding the debate about how such cities could be realized and integrated into global society. Though the project faced difficulties, it remains a symbol of the possibility of creating entirely new forms of living on the water. Number 3. Oceanix City, a vision for the sustainable floating urbanism. Oceanix City, designed by renowned Danish architect Bjarke Ingels, represents one of the most ambitious and forward-thinking proposals for floating cities. In collaboration with the United Nations, the project aims to create a modular, sustainable urban center designed to withstand the effects of climate change, including rising sea levels and extreme weather conditions. Unlike traditional land-based cities, Oceanix City is conceptualized as a floating community made up of hexagonal platforms that can be connected to create a larger city. One of the primary goals of Oceanix City is to be fully self-sustaining. The city would rely on renewable energy sources such as solar, wind, and wave energy to meet its energy needs. Its buildings would be designed to maximize energy efficiency, and advanced waste and water recycling systems would ensure minimal environmental impact. The city would also feature urban farming, allowing residents to grow food locally and reduce dependency on external supply chains. This self-sufficiency is a critical component of Oceanix City's design, as it would allow the city to thrive in isolation from traditional land-based cities with little reliance on outside resources. Another key feature of Oceanix City is its ability to adapt to rising sea levels. The floating platforms are designed to rise and fall with the tides, ensuring that the city remains resilient in the face of extreme weather events and climate change. The modular design allows for expansion as the city grows, making it scalable and adaptable to changing needs over time. Oceanix City is not just a response to environmental challenges, but a blueprint for how urban spaces could evolve to better coexist with the natural world. Oceanix City stands as an exemplary model of how floating cities could offer a sustainable, adaptable, and resilient solution to the world's growing urbanization and environmental challenges. Number 4. The Maldives Floating City, combining culture with innovation. The Maldives Floating City is a groundbreaking project set to begin in 2027. developed in collaboration with Dutch Docklands. This floating city will provide a solution to the Maldives' growing challenges posed by rising sea levels, which threaten to submerge much of the island nation. The floating city, which will house approximately 20,000 residents, blends modern innovation with the Maldives' rich cultural heritage, creating an environment that is both eco-friendly and culturally resonant with its surroundings. Inspired by traditional Maldivian architecture, the design of the floating city incorporates elements of local culture such as coral-inspired patterns and the use of traditional materials like timber. The city's homes, commercial spaces, and recreational areas will all float on the water, allowing the entire community to adapt to the rising seas. The city is planned to be entirely self-sufficient with sustainable features such as solar power generation, desalination plants to provide fresh water, and waste management systems that minimize the environmental footprint. One of the most innovative aspects of the Maldives floating city is its modular design. Each floating platform is interconnected and can expand as the city grows. Offering flexibility for future development, the city will be built in phases, with the first phase providing residential spaces, followed by the construction of schools, medical facilities, and commercial hubs. In addition to offering a potential solution to climate change and urbanization challenges, the Maldives floating city represents a fusion of environmental responsibility and luxury. The project is expected to attract tourists and wealthy individuals, offering a unique living experience on the water. This blend of traditional and modern elements is what makes the Maldives floating city a remarkable example of how floating cities could combine innovation with cultural sensitivity to create sustainable and vibrant urban environments. Number 5. Pangios, the ultimate luxury floating city. Pangios, a proposed 550-meter-long floating city designed by Lazzarini Design Studio, represents the pinnacle of luxury floating urbanism. Envisioned as a terra yacht, a floating megastructure shaped like a giant turtle, Pangios is aimed at ultra-wealthy individuals seeking a high-end lifestyle on the ocean. Located near Saudi Arabia's King Abdullah Port, Pangios is designed to accommodate up to 60,000 residents in luxury apartments, hotels, shopping centers, and recreational spaces. What sets Pangios apart from other floating city projects is its emphasis on exclusivity and luxury. The city's design incorporates amenities typically associated with luxury resorts, such as golf courses, entertainment complexes, and spas, while also providing residences and commercial spaces. Pangios will feature the latest in sustainable technologies such as solar energy, desalination plants, and cutting-edge waste management systems, ensuring that it is both environmentally friendly and self-sustaining. The floating city will be entirely autonomous, meaning it will not require outside resources to function. It will be a floating destination for the rich and powerful, offering unparalleled privacy and freedom while remaining fully integrated with the global economy. Despite its luxury focus, Pangios also serves as a testing ground for future floating cities that could be more affordable and accessible to a wider range of people. While Pangios is an ambitious and extravagant project, it also highlights the potential for combining luxury with sustainable, futuristic urban living. Its design could serve as a prototype for other floating cities, offering insights into how such ambitious undertakings can integrate high-end living with cutting-edge technology and environmental responsibility. Number 6. Legal and political challenges of floating cities. One of the most significant hurdles for the realization of floating cities is navigating the complex legal and political landscape of international waters. Since floating cities are often built outside the jurisdiction of any specific nation, they fall into a legal gray area. This lack of clear governance creates numerous challenges related to property rights, citizenship, regulation, and jurisdiction. Floating cities need to establish systems that govern everything from law enforcement to taxation, but existing international laws are ill-equipped to handle the creation of autonomous urban spaces on the open ocean. For example, the Seasteading Institute's attempt to build a floating city in French Polynesia ran into trouble with local governments, who were concerned about issues such as sovereignty, environmental protection, and the potential loss of control over their waters. While the concept of floating cities promises autonomy, it also raises questions about how such communities would interact with and be recognized by existing nations. Would floating cities be considered independent states? Would residents be subject to the laws of the countries that they are closest to? These uncertainties make it difficult for potential developers to move forward with projects. Additionally, there is the issue of maritime laws, which are often complex and may not provide clear answers on the status of floating cities. The United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, for instance, sets regulations for territorial waters, exclusive economic zones, and high seas, but it doesn't provide a framework for the creation of floating urban centers. As such, developers of floating cities would likely need to negotiate new international treaties to ensure the legal standing of their projects and to create a functioning system of governance for these ocean-bound communities. Number 7. Environmental impact. Can floating cities coexist with nature? Floating cities, while offering innovative solutions to rising sea levels and urban overpopulation, also raise significant environmental concerns. Building massive urban structures in the ocean could disrupt delicate marine ecosystems and affect wildlife habitats. Additionally, the construction and ongoing operation of floating cities require significant materials and energy, which may increase the ecological footprint unless sustainable practices are strictly followed. One of the primary environmental concerns is the effect on marine life. Floating structures may obstruct the natural flow of ocean currents and block sunlight, which could harm aquatic ecosystems, particularly coral reefs and other sensitive marine environments. Large-scale floating cities could also alter the local biodiversity by introducing new human activities, such as waste disposal, transportation, and construction that disrupt the natural balance. Another challenge is the sustainability of the floating cities themselves. To minimize their impact on the ocean, developers must ensure that the materials used in construction are eco-friendly and resistant to corrosion from salt water. Moreover, energy and waste management systems must be designed to prevent pollution. For instance, floating cities will need to rely on renewable energy sources like solar, wind, and wave power to maintain a minimal carbon footprint. Similarly, advanced waste management systems such as water purification and recycling are essential to avoid contaminating the surrounding ocean waters. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.